Phil, I remember you telling me how you got started in archaeology, and who was the archaeologist you most admired?
Oh, the late great Nick Bradford, who we went to school with, bless him. Oh, what a man.
What did he teach you? What were the earliest lessons that you had in archaeology?
Well, oh God, here we go. I didn't want to sit down. Yeah, take the weight off your feet, Phil. This could be a long one.
You've got 5 minutes.
Is that right?
Lunch.
No, I think. No, I don't think. I know. I can be that liberal. The best dig I ever went on was my first dig. Now, the first dig, and I think probably anybody's first dig, is, particularly if they stay long enough in archaeology, is, you know, character building. It's what turns you on to the subject. You either, I mean, you go on it and you either stick with it or you don't. But once you've been on that dig and you think to yourself, right, I really, really want to come back to it, I'm going to stick with it. And in that instance, it did change my life, or formed the rest of my life. And you know, I was a 15-year-old schoolboy. So you can gauge that was a long time ago. And my first dig in that instance was a training excavation. There is nothing to beat a well-run training excavation, simply because the emphasis of what you are doing is on being trained to be an archaeologist. You don't need a complicated site. In other words, the simpler, the better. You probably need quite a nice site so that you can find stuff, because that always helps. But the thing was with that, we walked up the first day to where we were going to dig, and we were told, right, this is where we're going to dig. The trench is going to go in here. And we were told why that trench was going to go in. There's a bank over here, there's a wall here that was protruding up through the grass. So we want to get the relationship of that with that. In other words, we were setting out the goals of that trench right from the word go. We hadn't even taken a nail out of the box. That was our first lesson. Why are we putting that trench there? And then it was a question of like putting a nail in the ground, putting string around that nail, tying it off with a clovitch, for those who hadn't never been in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Guides and didn't know how to tie off knots like that. Cutting the turf. You can make so many mistakes cutting turf. God, it can be difficult. You know, do you put the spade in? Well, there's the first thing. The spade is a cutting tool for cutting turf, not a shovel. A shovel is for shifting muck. A spade is a digging tool. Totally different tools for different uses. So you've got taught how tools work and what sort of tools you use. People used to go out with files and really, really razor up the edge of the spade so you could cut a nice straight piece of turf and all the rest of it. When that spade goes in, it goes in like that. It should go straight in, not necessarily like that, but definitely not, because otherwise you end up with an undercut section. Bad technique. You do not have undercut section. You learn all that. You learn how to get the spade in underneath. You learn how to lift the turf off. You learn how big to cut the turfs. Because if you thought you could do it a bit after the rate, I'll tell you what, sometimes you get one or two that's this sort of big, and if you had you used to have a chain gang with a thing. Nick Bradford was always on the spade at the other end, and he was shifting these turfs out, and they were coming along like along a rugby 3/4 line. And you learn at the other end, turf to turf, dirt to dirt, and you stacked them up. You learnt how to construct a spoil tip. Oh, a thing of beauty, a thing of absolute beauty, a well constructed spoil tip. Nobody builds spoil tips anymore because it's all done with a digger. But I'll tell you what, if you've got an area, and I've done it myself, go into somebody's back garden and you've got an area no bigger than this, and you think to yourself, right, I'm going to put a 5x5 in here. 5 5s is 25 square metres, and I might have to go down 1.5 metres. 5x5s is 25. It's going to be somewhere in the region of 30 odd cubic metres of dirt. That's a lot of dirt. You look at 5x5 stringing down, that ain't much. Yeah, if you've got to go down 1.5 metres, that's a big heap of dirt. And you've got a 5x5 doing that. Dirt does that. And so you've got to work out where the hell and how the hell am I going to put that in there? Spoil management, crucially important. You can get a lot of egg on your face if you don't know how to manage a spoil tip, how to construct a spoil tip.
And talking of egg on faces, thank you very much. Try and get a bit of egg down you. Lunchtime now, 1:20.